AD's back. Nice win, by the way, in Denver, although Denver continues to lose bodies here. Gordon's been out. Brown's been out. They lost Murray in that game when Dallas came back and won it. But is this a team that's going to blow this up, or are they going to think if we just get things right here, we could actually be kind of a scary team at the bottom of the West?
Well, to hear Mavericks people tell it, they'll tell you two things. One is that they do believe that if they can get all their bodies back, beginning with Kyrie Irving, extending to Derek Lively, PJ Washington steps on a basketball, he's been out. Like, they've got a whole bunch of injuries they're dealing with now. If they can get all those guys back, they're going to go on a run. Like, they believe there's a run in them. And they've pointed to some of those statistics that we've talked about, where they've played, I think it's right now 17 games that are defined as clutch, 5 points in the last 5 minutes. They've only won 6 of those games. And a lot of that has been because at the end of them, they just haven't had a guy that can create shots. Like Ryan Nembhard had a great game against Denver. He's a two-way guy. D'Angelo Russell has not been the answer. They don't have a point guard that can create offense for them, but they're going to get one back at some point, during this season. And they believe that when they get him back, him being Kyrie, and they get some of these other guys back into the mix, this, fever dream that Nico Harrison had about a defensive-minded team that, could grind out wins, could still come to fruition. The other part of it is that I keep getting told is that they say, look, they don't want to deal Kyrie Irving. Like, they think Cooper Flagg needs to play next to a elite point guard to develop him the right way.
That's not D'Angelo Russell.
It's not D'Angelo Russell. It's not that guy. They look at an AD trade, and like wherever you trade AD, let's say you find a deal with them in Chicago. I think Atlanta could be an interesting spot for him. What you're going to get back and what you still have is not enough to do this kind of Washington Wizards like free fall. Like, you're just not going to sink like a stone to the bottom of the Western Conference standings, not with Cooper Flagg and a bunch of other competitive guys around them. So they're not sure they see the upside in blowing this thing up, at least not during the course of this season. That being said, they have internally and externally discussed or gauged the market on what an Anthony Davis trade could look like. Because Davis has, one fully guaranteed year left of his contract. He's got a player option on the back end of that for like $60-something million. He's not a long-term guy in Dallas. They're going to go into a rebuild at some point. So they have looked at the market for Anthony Davis. And teams that I've talked to out there are, watching how Davis responds over the next few weeks. He doesn't have really any trade value right now until he plays like 10, 15 games coming off this calf injury. But if he does, and if he looks like the Anthony Davis of yesteryear, I think there will be a robust trade market out there for him. Because I think a lot of teams, especially ones in the Eastern Conference, are looking at Anthony Davis and going, all right, that guy could be a difference maker. Like Chicago, you put Anthony Davis on the Bulls, a team that can't defend, can't score much either these days, but can't defend, that's a big difference maker. Like Atlanta, swap out Davis for Porzingis' contract and some other stuff. Like, what kind of difference does that make with Atlanta? Like, I think there are a lot of teams in the East that would look at Davis as a needle mover there. So, look, I think, and I wrote this week, I think Dallas this month is going to be pretty revealing for them. Like, if they can find a way to get 500 within sight, scratch their way towards a close to 500 record, and they see a Kyrie return happening sometime in January before the All-Star break, that could motivate them to keep this team together and see what they can do for the rest of the season. But if it goes the other way and they're still way below 500, but Davis is still out there playing, that's when I think the Davis talk is really going to ramp up.
Okay. I think you're going to agree with me on this, though. But, the Anthony Davis, trade value. Well, it's low right now. It's like, let's see him play for a month. It's like, so what? Like, he plays for a month and now he's like a different guy. Like, he's exactly who he's been for years. And he's an incredibly talented guy who still somehow doesn't want to play center. He was playing center based on necessity now because of some of the injuries, which again makes all the sense in the world. He's just not a power forward anymore. So I don't know if you have to like pretend. The Lakers used to kind of like massage that a little bit and pretend. Be like, yeah, sure, you're a power forward, buddy. Whatever you say. And then you'd look at some of the closing groups and you just go, well, this doesn't make any sense.
He clings to that. He clings to that Dwight Howard championship season like it's proof for life that he should be a power forward. Like they win a championship with Dwight. It's like, hey, and they had another big there. I'm blanking right now, but like I played power forward during that bubble run. JaVale, yeah, I played power forward there, and that's proof that I should be a power forward forever.
Yeah, I'm going to go back and look at it real quick, just because I know this is annoying, but I think I remember looking at Dwight's minutes. I have it. So Dwight played 19 minutes a game against Portland. He played in 2 games against Houston for a total of 16 actual minutes, 20 minutes a game against Denver. The finals he played, that's why he played 12 minutes a game in the finals against the Miami Heat. Now, granted, the Heat didn't have any size to deal with whatsoever, but whenever he says that, and then it's brought up by other people because he has said it so many times, the numbers are like pretty fluky on that. It's like you had this rotational, like, yeah, we'll throw Dwight out there for a few minutes. Anyway, I just don't understand why I keep seeing so many quotes acting like Anthony Davis being healthy for a month completely changes his trade value when he's still, like, as much as I could sell you on the positives of all of this, there's a financial part of it. Usually I would make my player option joke and be like, yeah, $63 million in 2 years. He's probably going to pick that up. Maybe he opts out of it to just extend longer to a lesser number, whether it's with Dallas again or ends up being somewhere else. The mistake that I probably make too often, though, is a guy like Davis, or I want to get to Ja here at some point, or like anybody that feels like damaged goods. And I'm like, well, if I was a GM, I would never want to get in the business of this player or this player. Then you start like listing all these players and you go, yeah, that's not really how it works though, man. Like you could just write off a bunch of dudes. But if you're Chicago, even though they're so inactive that we could sit there and pretend like maybe they'd feel stale enough that they would want to do something and throw a couple picks in there, bring them home and go, hey, like, look at this. They're just not a very proactive team. This is where, some teams feel like, hey, we're close. And if for a playoff series, we have him and he's healthy, it's kind of like what the Clippers have been hanging on to for all these years with the Kawhi in theory. Like, I think Kawhi, despite how bad everything's looked like, I think he's kind of looked awesome lately. Awesome. So, you see that and you're like, what if I can get that for just 6 weeks? So I shouldn't make the mistake of thinking that every single GM shouldn't be in the market for a player that's damaged goods, but specific to Davis somehow being this penny stock that's all over the place, I think it's pretty established what kind of business you're getting into if you bring him in. Yeah,
it is, which is why I isolated just to the Eastern Conference. And this goes back to like the Bane trade, right? Like if Orlando was in the West, zero chance they do the Desmond Bane trade. Like no chance. Like because giving up that many assets for that player isn't going to get you over the top in a conference with Oklahoma City, Denver, the Lakers, everybody else that's really damn good. But because they're in the East, and look, contracts were coming up, like they had to do something. Like they decided to roll the dice and give up a lot of assets for Desmond Bane. To me, it's the same sort of mindset with Anthony Davis. Yes, he is a flawed player in the sense that you never know when something on his muscular structure is going to pull. It's going to cost him 6 weeks. But if you can somehow bubble wrap him and get him to the playoffs and get him healthy enough to be a 30-minute per game, 35-minute per game type of guy, you can beat everybody in the Eastern Conference. Like, again, I keep going back to Atlanta because I'm really talking myself into this, like with the Atlanta Hawks. It's fascinating to me, like if they could find their way to get their hands on an Anthony Davis. Like AD in a lineup with Jalen Johnson, with Dyson Daniels, with all the guys they've got out there at Atlanta. That to me is the favorite to win the East right away. Then figure out the Trae Young stuff a little bit later on. The Bulls, I don't think he makes them the favorite, but he cleans up a defense that right now is ranked in the bottom third and has forever been bad.
It's a layup line against the Bulls. Vooch is a nice player, but it's bad.
Yeah, it's bad. So he cleans that up and puts them right there in the mix. I just think Eastern Conference teams have to look at things a lot differently than Western Conference teams, because a player like Davis is enough to get you over the top. You still might get killed in the finals by Oklahoma City or Denver, whoever comes out of the West. But if you have a shot to get to the finals and it's a high risk type of shot, I think you got to take it.